wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. DJ Envy, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the God, but Envy's not here. Loren, LoRosa is, and we got a very special guest in the building. And I am insulted at YouTube or Google, because I went to go Google Carlos just to see what they say he is. They called you a goddamn YouTuber. As if you're not a reality TV show producer mogul out here.
Yes.
Well, no, I'm definitely a multi-hyphenate like everybody in this room. So yes, listen, I'm a CEO of a production company, Kingdom Entertainment.
That's right.
I am somebody who has a YouTube channel. I am the host EP of my podcast, Reality with the King. I'm a certified yapper. And you know,
love it.
I'm a Libra.
Carlos King is here, y'all.
Yes.
What's happening?
That's
What's
right.
happening? What's happening?
So happy to be here.
Talk about a bit, because to Charlamagne's point, when people talk about Carlos King, Reality with the King is a big show. People know the moments, but I don't think people really understand that you were very integral in a lot of our favorite reality TV, Real Housewives of Atlanta, the opening seasons. Talk about that journey in your career.
Yeah, so listen, I'm the first black man to ever executive produce the Real Housewives franchise in general. So Atlanta was my first one, season 6. And till this day, under my leadership, season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta still remains the highest rated season on any show on Bravo.
Wow.
So, you know, for me, I am somebody who takes my career very seriously when it comes to the amount of work I've done. Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of New Jersey. And because of that is when I left the show to start my production company, Kingdom Entertainment. And now I'm the creator, executive producer of Love and Marriage Huntsville, which is the #1 show on Oprah Winfrey's network.
I read an article on Out that says that show is responsible for 69% of all original programming hours on OWN.
Yeah, so my production company, Kingdom Entertainment, produces 69% of the programs on Oprah's network.
Love that. And they talking about some goddamn YouTuber.
How do you figure out like what you want to do or what you want to get involved in? Because Love and Marriage Huntsville, original idea.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
I love black people. I'm somebody who is interested in telling black stories. I love black couples. And I felt that at the time, there wasn't a reality show that focused on black couples and their relationships. When it comes to not the man being behind the woman, like on a Housewives or a female ensemble show. One thing I know about men, straight men, they have an opinion.
I'm a little crooked.
You know, listen.
That's one of the girls.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the minutes over there.
Listen, a straight black man, as we see with the million podcasts people have, they have an opinion. And I wanted to do a show for the first time where the man and the woman had equal footing and billing on the show. And Love and Marriage Huntsville has been the #1 show on OWN for the past 6 years.
How did you go about casting the couples? Are these friends of yours, or do you know?
No, so I had a meeting with a then couple named Melody Martell who wanted to do a show about property preservation. And I was like, not sure about that. So I said, find me some people. I want to do a show about couples. They introduced me to the Scotts, and the rest is history.
What originally drew you to unscripted TV? And what keeps you passionate about it?
Yeah, so listen, I'm a journalist. Hey, Porsha. Hey, Loren. I'm a journalist. I grew up watching Oprah Winfrey, the late Ananda Lewis, who was my idol for so many years and still remains. And for me, I wanted to just be somebody who was able to report on real people's stories, real people issues. So when I got the bug and the call to produce the Real Housewives of Atlanta, that's the first reality show I've done. And the moment, Charlamagne, I stepped on set, I felt like how you all feel. It's like when your purpose meets your passion. And I felt that God created me to be a storyteller and to tell people's stories in the most authentic way. And doing unscripted is the blessing that I never thought I needed.
Wow.
It really is.
You talk about why, though?
Because the thing is this, I feel like everybody has a story. So when I started my podcast, Reality with the King, I wanted to create a safe space where people were able to be unprovoked, not judge, and be able to just sit with somebody who cares about them and say, this is my truth, and this is how I feel. And for me, when it comes to reality television, there's nothing that makes me more happy than to see regular people live their wildest dreams.
Yeah.
I think it's the most important blessing of my life.
When you think about season 6 of Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? Now we all know all the historic cast members of Real Housewives of Atlanta. What makes a cast member must-watch TV to you? Is it personality? Is it vulnerability? Is it drama? Or just something else that we might be missing?
It's all of the above.
Okay.
And what's funny is, so when I cast women and men on my shows, the number one question they ask me is, what are you looking for? And I always say, I want authenticity. The reason why the three of you are so amazing at your job is because people wake up in the morning and want to listen and watch what the three of you have to say. So for me, it's all about being authentic, being vulnerable. And listen, we all like a little excited life that may be a little messy, just like the world is.
Yeah,
so
put the scarf on and go live.
Well, you know.
The hair is laid now. She would do it without the scarf.
You know, Jess had to get the mess off her chest. You like how that rhyme? Jess had to get the mess off her chest. That's a hot 16. Shout out to Nikki. So for me, I love that. And that's why when Jess went live and was talking, you know, her truth, I called Jess and Loren and said, hey, I have a podcast called Reality with the King. You want to come on and talk to me? So that's what I do.
You sure did, yeah.
I did.
But you've been also too, even from the first day I met you, you've been really encouraging of us. Like,
Yes.
you spoke to me about Jess before all of that, and you spoke to me about just this environment. What has that looked like for you, mentorship wise? So because it was, I didn't even know you, but you were like, here's what you need to do. Here's what you like. Why are you that way, and what does that?
Because I know what it's like to grow up in this crazy business and just wanting to be heard.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be the only in the room. I'm an openly gay black man, shocker. I know this voice is so deep, so much bass in it. But for me, I know what it's like to be the only one. I know what it's like to feel alone. And I know what it's like to be a black person in a space where everybody feels like they know you. So when I saw what the two of you were going through,
that's great TV. Yeah.
No, listen. You, first of all, Charlamagne is the Carlos King of radio.
Yes.
Right?
I normally would say Andy Cohen, but Carlos King is definitely yes.
I said Charlamagne is like my spirit animal because he was like, I mean, you know, say what you gotta say. Say it now. Get off your chest.
And then gave me a hug before.
And she's crying, and you was like, you felt that way? I had no idea. I was like, well, Charlamagne should be crying for weeks.
And they're gonna say, right. And they're gonna say, well, I see her cry all the time. And don't.
Right.
I do. No, you don't, and shut up and don't ever say it.
So for me, I love black people. I really do. And I am everybody's mentor. I'm known as somebody who loves all the girls. Every single reality star has contacted me to give them advice. They slide in my DMs to, no shade, to, you know, hop on my shows. But other than that, they do want somebody who looks like me to say, how do I go about doing this? And that's why mentorship is very important to me, because I want to be able to give back to my community in a way that feels safe.
And I heard you mention you want to be the change in the industry, right? So
Yes.
that's what you're talking about when you say I want to be the change in the industry. Okay.
Yes, I want to be the agent of change, because there isn't anybody at the scale of producing in which I do that is black. I literally am like the face of black reality production. And I take that very seriously. And that's why, for me, I have given so many opportunities to black people unscripted. I have created so many jobs for people. And there's nothing, honestly, guys, that makes me happier than when I go to work and I see so many black people look like me and they're working for me.
Right.
And I promote them and I give them raises and I send them off to do everything. So for me, I want to be that, because no one did that for me, truly, as a black man in this business.
You know, there's always a fine line between storytelling and exploitation in reality TV. How do you know when you've crossed it, and do you care?
I do care. I have a show called Bell Collective. A wonderful woman named Marie Monroe has a mother who abuses drugs currently, and has been doing that since Marie was a little girl. It was Marie's decision to have that story be told on the show. We told the story. In one particular episode, Marie was looking for her mother. and she was searching for her through crack houses. And we were following it. And we, of course, wanted the end of the story to be she was getting healed because that was Marie's intention. The moment I saw that this woman had a problem that didn't look like she was going to be healed, I ceased shooting with her. And I said, that at some point will feel like we're exploiting this woman who clearly still has a drug abuse situation that is prominent today. And I did not want to be somebody to use my millions of viewers and audiences to show a Black mother dealing with that for the rest of the show. So I ceased production on that one.
And then even not before you get to her, even some of the other extra crackheads in some of the houses that y'all followed them in, they was probably like, damn, y'all ain't telling us that they was coming today. So
no. We had to blow some faces.
Yeah.
The real crack houses of Atlanta would be fire, though.
Charlamagne.
It would be fire.
No, that would be lit.
Oh, see.
That is so messed up, but
That
it would
would
be
be
lit.
fire.
The Carlos King
I'm trying to tell you.
of radio.
Mocha, just call him Mocha Minutes for the rest of the
Yeah,
interview.
Charlamagne, you are
One of the girls.
not one of the girls.
No,
I'm going to say this. Do you know this? Us gays love you.
I tell them all the time.
I know the kids love me. They call me, they say I'm Trade.
Trade. No. And what else they say, Carlos?
What?
They say he trade, he thick.
Do you know what
Trade
trade means?
No, but it's flattering, I
Trade
think.
is an clock it. Trade is a Black masculine, well, not Black, a masculine man that looks like this. You know, with your basketball shorts and t-shirt and everything.
Yeah, it's like very like, ooh, what's
Yes,
up?
we like short brown around over here.
That's what I was waiting for you to say. They'd be like, he's so round, he's so thick. I'd be like, can y'all stop?
Oh my God!
I was telling you about that time I was walking out of Viacom in 50.
What happened?
I was walking out of Viacom. It was about 4 brothers, right? I didn't even pay no attention. I'm walking, right? So I'm minding my business. All I hear is, Charlamagne, don't you walk over here. Don't you walk past us with all that ass and not say nothing. I'm like, what? Excuse me?
Yes! We love it. Sorry.
And he was big blushing too.
He was?
I went back.
All right, y'all.
You went back. Hello?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So what I want to go back to something that you said before. You were saying that, you know, you wanted to be the change in the industry. What were some of the things that you had to go through before you even got to that? Like, were you ever mistreated in the industry before you got to where you are?
Yes. Good question. I remember being a producer and I worked really hard and I climbed the ladder the right way. I was a PA, AP. I had every step in this business. And I remember I had these set of mentors who I thought were like everything to me. And long story short, I reached out to them for advice. Like, oh my gosh, you know, I have an opportunity to be an executive producer. I need some advice. What should I do? Do you know an agent? Should I get an agent? And all these things. Long story short, they went behind my back and told my bosses I did not deserve the promotion.
Wow.
Why?
Because what I have learned in this business is everybody wants you to do great as long as you're not doing better than them. And that was a tough pill for me to swallow. And I remember crying about that because it was my first time experiencing betrayal from people who I thought were looking out for me.
Yeah.
So when I experienced that, I said to myself, no Black person in my wheelhouse would ever have to go through that again. And that's the reason why my company, I have an open door policy. I speak to everybody from the PA to the grip, to the sound person, to the executives, because I want everybody to know that when they work for Carlos King, we're going to have a great time. We're going to work really hard. But you also have somebody where the owner of the company is going to shake your hand and speak to you and say thank you at the end of the shoot.
Yeah.
You know what else I always wondered about? Black reality TV stars, they seem to not get the same like mainstream deals or magazine covers. Why do you think the industry still treats Black reality stars like they the side dish and not the entree? Especially when they had success like Real Housewives of Atlanta.
A lot of people talk like that about Nene. They feel like she should have more.
Yes, Nene to me is the Meryl Streep of reality television. And we're going to put some respect on her name for sure. We all have benefited from Nene Leakes. And I'm comfortable saying that, giving that woman her must do in this business. I think when it comes to Black reality stars, unfortunately, just like any Black woman in any industry, you aren't given the investment that you deserve. You're not, whether it's the music industry, whether it's journalism, whether it's, the medical field. It's an unfortunate fact that when it comes to Black women in any industry, Black women lead the charge. They're the curators, they're the tastemakers. But unfortunately, advertisers feel like if they're not white, would the consumer buy into that? And I think they will. And that's why when you look at Porsha Williams,
Porsha, capital P,
the cover of People magazine,
big deal.
Bernadine Peters,
Right.
Angela Bassett.
Yes.
You look at Porsha, and listen, I'm going to say this because I believe in it. I think Porsha Williams is currently the Black Kim Kardashian of our time. And I think we need to look at her as somebody who is going to make so many strides in this business. And I believe strongly her People magazine cover illustrated that fact. And when I saw that, I was like, where's her deals now? I mean, she has Pamela Porsha, she got a lot, but
Porsha,
I'm like,
More.
that to me,
gold naked hair.
that to me really showcased like this woman is about to set things on fire like she did that car.
You said it was iconic.
Well, like I think Porsha is so iconic, and I just love her so much because again, she's what Charlamagne and I just talked about. She's vulnerable, she's funny, she's authentic, and she's having a season where she's going through a divorce. And that's challenging. I think any woman who's going through a divorce sees that and understands that. And if you have never gone through a divorce, I think you will never understand what that does to a woman. It does something to a woman. And I've seen it with Nene Leakes. I've seen it on my shows, Love and Marriage. I've seen it across the world. And I think we have to really give her some grace.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, did you see the interview that Simon recently did with Page Six where he talked about the marriage? How did you feel about that interview and him throwing a lot of the blame on Porsha for the divorce?
I think it's one of those situations where I don't know Simon. I met Simon at the wedding for the first time.
Which
Which wedding?
Which wedding was
the
it?
Nigerian one.
Oh,
because
okay.
at the time I was with an African who looked like Charlamagne. I'm thinking,
Right, yes.
Where's he from?
Wait, yes.
The Mali region. That's where I'm from. Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal. Like I'm saying.
I don't know.
You know, that's why you laughing
What you
at
with him?
Child, he could have been related to Simon. I don't know.
So was he the +1 for the wedding?
I mean, you
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
yeah, he was.
You should have went to that wedding alone. You could have
Oh
came
my
up.
God.
What you say? What you
Was
say?
he circumcised?
Circumcised.
That's a real question.
Yes, he was. Yes.
That's an
I like
exclusive.
all my meat cut. So my thing is, well, I'm vegan now, Charlamagne. So my vegan meat.
Stop. Yes, he was.
I like a good amount of protein. But my thing is this. I met Simon at the wedding day, the Nigerian wedding. It was me, Giselle Bryant, sitting next to each other. And I saw the love in that room. And you had to be there to understand there was love there. I am shocked that Simon has decided to go this route when it comes to creating a narrative about his wife. Listen, I wasn't there. I wasn't in their bedroom. I don't know what happened.
For sure.
But I do think when it comes to a man, at the end of the day, I do think there's some sort of protection that needs to happen to where you have to look at her mental health and understand that I do believe that everybody should tell their own story, but I do think it comes to a point to where it could be too much. And I think as a man, you have to decide, like, I got my point across and I'm done. And I hope that Simon, in his quiet times, understands that. I feel like he did an interview. He got his story out, and I think now is the time to be like, all right, bro, we heard you.
Also, too, though, you got to look at it and think to yourself how much of that is projection. Because, I mean, he's going through a lot of trying shit.
For sure.
Right? You just was locked up. You got deported. Now you got to set up like shop in a whole new place, even though you're from there. Right?
Yeah.
Where's he at? Dubai or Nigeria now? I don't know.
He's
in Nigeria.
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 Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, he can go between both, but I think he's in
Yeah.
Nigeria.
he just can't come back to America. I just think when I saw that interview, I just saw a lot of projection.
Yeah, I saw a lot of pain. And listen, I'm not here to dissect that man's emotion and what isn't real or not. I believe he obviously, listen, I know there was love there. I was at the wedding and Porsha teared up and I saw so much love between those two that I am shocked that things are where it's at now. Yeah. But with that being said, I do think at some point you have to put down, you know, the missile and just say, I will deal with this now privately. So hopefully that happens.
Is that all the questions about Porsha? Because I know you want to get it out.
No, that's it.
Okay. Has doing reality TV ever been challenging to you to the point where you're like, all right, look, I'm done with this shit. Like, I'm walking away from this. Like, has there ever been a moment where it got personal for you, although it's business?
Oh, Jess with the, okay.
You know what I'm saying? I learned a little bit.
You know, look, I think, oh, okay. I'm going to say this now. Okay, look, I think there is a time to where you have to take inventory of what's happening in an industry. And I look at reality television now, and it's not what it used to be. Yeah. I started in 2008. Like, I was there when Nene Leakes had a quick weave.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Wow. I was there when Sheree had broken gates in her $1 million home.
Beginning.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was there when things were real. Yeah. And women joined the show because they were like, this could be interesting. And obviously, listen, be famous and all those things and whatever. I don't like where it's hitting to where I feel like a lot of people join the show for the wrong reasons. And they don't understand that you're doing a deal where you have to exchange your privacy for publicity. Yeah. And when you hear reality stars saying, I ain't talking about that, that's too real. Or when they use social media to turn people against the production because they don't like the fact that the audience doesn't like them in this particular episode. You know what I mean? Like, we all have bad moments. You know, I felt for you when you know, talked about your situation. I felt bad for you. You're good. But, you know, because he loves, he's like me. He's like, was my name spelled right? Okay, I'm good. Because that's Charlamagne. Did you get the G in the N and the E? Because the G is silent. Okay. So, so for me, I do understand that this is a tough industry because of social media. Yeah. And I have said that social media has killed the reality star.
Tell me more.
Because social media has poisoned the reality star into behaving in a way that pleases them. And the reality star, if they're not strong enough, and if they don't have the right people around them, they can fall into that trap. And they can lose opportunities because nobody wants to be around somebody who constantly is berating someone when you're like, we were good. Oh, but that episode aired. And you don't like the feedback that you're getting.
That's right.
So now all of a sudden it's editing fault. But baby, during the production, we were good. You know, we had a watch party. It was great. Yeah. You got the episode. You was like, yay. And then user 3079 said, I hate you, B. And you like, production. And it's like, come again. So those days to me are definitely diminishing. And that's the reason why, look, Reality with the Kings, a hip podcast. And that's why I'm so happy to announce that we have partnered with Black Effect.
Hey.
I heard that was coming. Congratulations.
Reality with the Kings with Black Effect.
That's right. Love that.
Yeah, so shout out to Charlamagne. I really appreciate you. Listen, you're somebody who I always looked up to since your days being with Wendy. And I feel like our stories are so parallel because I know what it's like to be the sidekick. And I know what it's like to just want to be able to, of course, service the person who you're working for, but also have your own dreams and desires. Yeah. So with my podcast joining the Black Effect Network, you know, expect things to be bigger and bolder. And listen, I think for me, it shows that you have two Black men who are powerful in their own individual industries. But I believe this partnership will show the world and the community and the culture that two Black men, can join forces with no ego and figure out a landscape to where we can do business on a multi-level scale.
Yeah.
So the fact that this partnership is happening, me and Charlamagne about to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to learning the world of unscripted through you. Because that's what I want Black Effect to be, a multimedia company, right? Multimedia production company. So we've already talked about doing unscripted stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
including a show with your wife and your kids.
No, I'm not doing that.
I tried.
You
mad? She will tell you what. Don't even sit
No,
there.
I'm teasing. No, I love that because I'm newly single, and I love it when you have a partner.
She would never.
Who support? No.
Baby,
Yeah.
and
I love that Charlamagne, Steve Harvey, and LeBron. I love it when you have a partner that is supportive. And one thing I have listened to you talk about your wife, you, LeBron, Gucci with Keisha Kaur, and LeBron, Steve, and Gucci have all said, I'm good, but I'm great because of my wife.
That's a
When
fact.
you meet, when you see him and his dynamic with his wife, you realize that literally, I thank God for her because she is and I watch him and I'm like, oh, you need that it's like yin and yang. She's the one for real. She's amazing. She would never do that show though. And she would tell you.
I was teasing because I know she would never do it.
She would be,
and I wouldn't want her to.
We're gonna sit down with Carter. She'd be like, about what?
No, we're gonna sit down and have dinner, but there'll be no cameras around.
Oh, she will. I know.
Yeah.
But question: when you talk about working alongside people and one of your just do, where are you and Mona Scott Young today?
Oh my God, that's my mentor forever and ever and ever. She was on Reality with the King. The beauty of Mona is this: people really try to pit us against each other.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from Mona Scott, working with Love and Hip Hop, and I saw this Black woman, baby, come in and set shit on fire. And when I say that, I mean with her wisdom and her knowledge. And I've learned so much from her. And she and we were just at Connie Orlando's foundation celebrating the BET Awards 2 weeks ago in LA.
Yes.
She is and always will be a woman that I have great respect for. And I do feel like when it comes to Mona, a lot of people do not understand the strides she made as a Black woman in the music industry, alongside the late Chris Lighty. So, no, I love Mona. We're good.
I love that.
Was there a time you felt pressure to dilute Black narratives to fit mainstream expectations?
No. And it's funny because all of my shows are starring Black people. And I've received the notion of do some shows with some white folks. And not saying that I wouldn't, I'm a storyteller first. But for me, I hate that because when you say, why don't you do shows with white people or why you only do shows with Black people, no one talks to these other production companies and say, you have a lot of white shows. Because they look at it as it being mainstream. And when you say that, I'm going to say it, you're pretty much calling Black folks second-class citizens. Why not? Why aren't we able to work together? And that's why our collaboration with my podcast and Black Effect is really one of my ways of showing people that, sure, I could have went to this network and that network, and we had so many offers, but when Dolly Bishop,
salute to Dolly,
the president of Black Effect, when she reached out to me and said, me and Charlamagne would love for you to be a part of our network, it was a no-brainer for me. I literally, and my management would be mad, because I thought to myself during the meeting, yes, I'll do it. But the team do their thing. But I was thrilled to know that we could work well together and really show people that, listen, I saw Sinners, baby, and I'm all about Black ownership and Black power.
Absolutely. You're not just producing shows, you're building a brand with Kingdom Reign. So what's your vision for Kingdom Reign beyond even television?
Yeah, so listen, we will be a multimedia production company. We will do podcasting. We will do unscripted television and scripted. And with me at the helm of this production company, it's all about really following the trends of where we are now. You and I spoke about that 2 weeks ago with what Kai Sinead is doing.
Right.
Yeah, so there's stuff that I want to do. I'm a disruptor in this industry, and I want to have fun creating stuff that people are like, I had no idea you were even thinking about that. So expect more from us in all facets of this industry.
You think when you watch what Kai is doing,
yes,
do you think that would work in reality TV? Could you do a reality show that's live like that?
Yeah. I mean, look what Drewski is doing with his dating show on YouTube.
But that's edited though. That's produced.
It is edited, but I also I say all that to say there's an audience that wants to see someone of that status doing something unscripted realm, and I think what Kai is doing can definitely work in unscripted. Just like having cameras in the house, doing it live. Love Island is like the hottest show out right now, and it comes on 6 days a week, and that's like around the clock and all that stuff. And I think me and Charlamagne should call Kai and figure out what we can do together to really show some live elements of what he's doing.
Absolutely.
Not to put you on the spot, Kai, but
Or Charlamagne.
we can do it.
Do you think?
Put him on the spot.
Yes.
Do you think that Bravo? This is a hard left. Do you think Bravo owes Kenya more some money?
Money? Well, look, I don't know Kenya's deal. But what I will say about Kenya Moore is I work with her. And I'm going to say this. Kenya Moore is one of the rare reality stars who did everything for that show. Everything.
What does everything look like?
Kenya Moore cared. She cared about telling her own personal story. She cared about asking questions where things would be swept under the rug. She cared about who was joining the show. She cared about if they fit. She cared about making amends with people. She cared about making sure that Carlos King was happy.
Yeah.
She cared about that. It was very sad to see her be let go. But what I will say is I think there's an opportunity for her to return, and I think she deserves to return. She is the sheer definition of a force multiplier, and I want Kenya Moore to be somebody who understands her value and her worth and to do whatever her heart desires. And if that's coming back to the show, fantastic. If that's doing other things, she has a YouTube channel she's doing. We all love Kenya Moore, and she is forever the American Black beauty of our generation.
Yeah,
I want to ask you something as a producer, right? When you look at OWN and you make up like 69% of the content at OWN, I think about what 50 Cent did with Stars.
Yes.
What Tyler Perry does with BET.
Yes.
Is that the move? Is that how producers should be thinking? Like, let me lock in with a network and...
Yeah, honestly, listen, our industry is going through a crisis, and I love so much. Listen, I grew up watching Oprah Winfrey with my mother. So to be able to have a production company that I own produce 69% of the shows for her network under the leadership of the president, Tina Perry, the hit of Unscripted, Drew Tappan, to be able to work with them, Charlamagne, and to provide so many shows for them, that is the goal.
Yeah,
it is the goal
about Taylor
to
Sheridan
do that.
With Paramount.
No, and I have such respect and adoration for them, and they do for me, and I will forever, for the rest of my life, as I have breath in my lungs, to produce for that network. They have given me so many opportunities. I host reunion shows for the shows I produce for the network, and we have an amazing working relationship. But yes, I think that is a future, and I think it's with any situation, you find a home that loves you, respects you, and values you, and OWN is that. And look, I'm able to produce for other networks, but for me, nothing is more valuable than my relationship with OWN.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the network, but there was a network that came to me one time and it was like, okay, we want you to be the producer and you're going to be with this writer and we're going to be working with 3 producers and 3 writers.
Yeah.
So figure it out. And I'm like, damn. So clearly I guess that's where these networks are going nowadays.
Well, listen, but you have to really, and I think just follow the model that works for you. What 50 Cent has done for Stars and has done for subscriptions for that platform, you have to know your value and your worth. And I think, listen, you are Charlamagne, and I think you can go to any network and get a show greenlit for sure, if that's what you want to do. But also think there's something valuable about going to one home saying, why can't I just produce multiple shows for you guys versus just like constantly running around finding a home to do that for?
And the
So which network fumbled the bag by not locking you into a multi-show deal before OWN?
So Loren, your bob looks good. It's not folded under.
You know what Bobby doing? Watching you. For real, because I felt like you should have a situation with Bravo. I felt like VH. Like there's a lot of networks that you've been loosely associated with, but that we know of, but behind the scenes in a big way. Why didn't that happen after all this Real Housewives success? And what's going on, Carlos?
Well, listen, I'm somebody where I go where I'm valued. And sometimes what that means is not that there's any beef or anything, but when you grow up in this business, right? Sometimes people see you as one thing. And what I love about OWN is they saw me as a formidable producer, but they also saw me as an extraordinary CEO. They also saw me as talent. So to have a home that sees you as those three things is what means the most to me. And look, I pitch to all networks and I love them all too. However, I value a network like OWN that sees Carlos King as more than one thing. And the fact that Reality with the King has a show on OWN, okay, that comes on July 18th, so watch it. Like, that's dope. Like, for them to come to me and say, we see your hit podcast, let's create a talk show for our network.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also have a show idea. Can you produce it? So I listen. I have nothing but more love and respect for them, and it shows.
I'd rather see you doing that on OWN. I mean, Andy Cohen been at Bravo doing the same thing forever, so I would rather see Carlos King doing that on OWN. Producing shows, having his own talk show. It just makes all the sense.
Yeah.
Is that what led to that conversation you just had about like being seen in the proper way? Is that what led to? Because there's always been a rumor that there's like this thing with you and Andy Cohen that isn't the best relationship.
Yeah, that's false. That's false. He and I are fine. I have said this to him personally, and I'll say it publicly. He is somebody that you have to be blind to not see that he paved the way for people like me, for producers to be able to host reunions, for producers to be able to be seen as talent, and we're not going to negate that for him. Again, when you are two people doing great work, the audience wants to pitch you against each other. They tried to do that with the two of you, right? They tried to do that with Brandy and Monica. And the fact that you two came together, Brandy and Monica are now on tour. I'm not going to fall into that trap. Yeah. I am an amazing version of Carlos King. And at the same time, in my same breath, I can give Andy Cohen his props for being the best at what he does. And I think when it comes to social media, who love to try to say, you're trying to beat him. I'm not. I really am not. I own a production company. I have a podcast. I'm a YouTuber according to Wikipedia. You know what I mean? Like, I want my people, and I'm going to talk to my people alone, because a lot of them do say that. He's trying to be... Stop falling under the microscope of us being compared to somebody who is white.
That's right.
It's you are really shedding light on your own insecurities. I'm not insecure. So when people say, I'm not offended at all, but I do want my people to really respect what I have done and respect my name and respect my legacy and respect what I have done for my community and what I'm still doing. When you go on set of a Carlos King show, you're going to see people who look like my cast. I'm the only one doing that. The only one.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you get that respect now?
No, I don't. No. Listen, the raindrops, my fans, they see it. But no, listen, I don't. But I don't do it for that. I'm a very spiritual person. I know that God gave me this life to honor him. When I reach the pearly gates, God is not going to say, now, hold on, honey. Let me see what they said about you on social media, child. The Shade Room posted. Like, they're not going to do that. And that's the reason why I don't crash out. Is the reason why when people try to come for me, I don't respond to them. Because I understand that y'all need that.
Right.
Social media is a playground of misfits. And every once in a while, I like to go on the playground and throw sand. You know what I'm saying? By looking through the comments. We all do. You see a post that shit, you like,
what they saying?
What they saying? Are they saying what I think they're going to say, what I'm thinking? So I get all that.
Can't let it affect you, though.
It will never affect me to the point where I'm going to lose the respect of people who give me opportunities.
That's right.
Ain't none of y'all worth that.
I know that's right.
Nah.
Clock it. That's it.
One thing.
Yes. Yes, Charlamagne.
Mocha minute.
Yes, he doing a damn Pac-Man.
Is it Miss Pac-Man or?
Crazy.
I'm teasing.
Well,
Okay.
Carlos is marching in the NYC Pride Parade this weekend.
Yes, God's Love, who
Yes.
serves over 4 million meals for everybody, and I'm so excited to partner with them. So I'll be here on a float, and we're gonna have fun. Yeah. So God's Love is an amazing charity that I'm a part of, and again, I'm a spiritual person, so to partner with an organization who does great work for the community, I'm honored that they have chosen me to represent them on Sunday.
For sure.
Absolutely. Make sure you support Carlos King and all he does, man. The podcast. When is this podcast is every...
Well, now they're on the Black Effect.
Yes.
Prepare to be sick of me.
Okay.
I am gonna, so Raindrops exclusive.
Talk that talk.
Listen up, Raindrops. Now that Reality with the King is on the Black Effect Network, first of all, download the app. Okay, they got Recently Shady with Giselle Bryant and Robin Dixon.
Love them.
They got the latest with Lauren LoRosa. They have a lot of people. Okay, so I'm going to be dropping between 4 to 5 episodes a week.
Oh, you coming for me? Because I'm daily.
Well, you know,
trying to come for me.
no, the
You
thing
trying
is
to come.
this.
Don't.
No, listen, there's
Don't.
room for everybody.
That's right.
It is. And
Yes.
you my,
Yes, I
you my
will.
favorite.
As long as I don't have a bob, you in good hands. Like
You're
Arce.
right.
Or a bad wig. You want either or.
No, but that's your real
Brother,
hair.
This is
Yes.
mine. Thank you.
That's our hair.
So what's happening?
Nothing.
Shady?
Nothing.
Boots?
Y'all gonna be
Girl?
daily.
What's going on, girl?
Not girl. I call him girl. I love y'all banter, by the way. I think it's so funny.
Carlos King, tell them where to follow you.
Yeah, so follow me, Instagram, TikTok, X, at the Carlos King _. My YouTube is at the Carlos King _. Please subscribe to my podcast under the Black Effect Network, Reality with the King. And we do exclusive interviews for YouTube. So I have Angela Oakley from Housewives of Atlanta up right now.
Nice.
We got
Sounds
some
good.
more heavy hitters coming up. So subscribe and like my YouTube channel too.
Absolutely. It's the Breakfast Club. Thank you.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.